Hi, and thanks for joining this presentation. My name is Saunders-Smits, Associate Professor in Aerospace Engineering at TU Delft. Over the next few minutes, I will discuss the outcomes on the research my colleague Johanna Jivet, formerly at the Leiden Delft Erasmus Center for Education and Learning, and I did on how the COVID-19 pandemic affected the learners in a massive open online course or MOOC in Aerospace Structures and Materials using learning analytics. Most educators will know the effect COVID-19 had on campus education. This was the deserted TU Delft campus on the 13th of March 2020. You may also have read about the effect the pandemic has had on aviation and employment within it. This figure from Eurocontrol shows the number of daily flights in Europe for 2019, which is the green line, 2020, the blue line, and 2021, the red line. It has never been this bad in aviation, not even when the volcanic ash crisis in 2010 hit, and as you can see, recovery is still a long way off. But we wondered what the effect of the crisis was on existing online education in aerospace, now that so many people were furloughed or sent home from their job or school. To this end, we compared two runs of the MOOC Introduction to Aerospace Structures and Materials from DelftX on the edX platform. For this, we used the existing datasets of the pre- and post-course surveys, as well as the edX trace logs of the 2019 run, which ended just before the pandemic started, and the 2020 run, which started on 10 March 2020, 3 days before the lockdown in the Netherlands began, and which ran for the whole year. Given the time allocated for this presentation, I will only present the highlights. Please see our paper for more details. It'll come as no surprise that enrollment more than doubled during COVID times. If you look at the normalized enrollment in the figure for both runs, you can see that in the 2020 run, the increase in enrollment during the first part grows much faster, which coincides with the first months of the worldwide lockdown. Does this mean that we had a lot of furloughed workers who were taking the MOOC? Analysis of the enrollment data showed us that this was not the case. Compared to 2019, the learners in the 2020 run were significantly younger, there were significantly more students, and significantly more females. The younger audience and more students are likely a result of the edX Online Campus Essentials program that allowed students from edX partners to take edX courses for free. However, we do not have the data to confirm this as yet. The percentage of people in the 2020 run that listed themselves as working was down by 10%. However, if we split the people that listed themselves as working by the industry they reported working in, we can see that this was certainly not the case for the learners who reported working in the aviation and aerospace industry. Within airline-related workers, we saw a 183% increase in enrollment. But also we saw large increases among military, defense and space and aerospace manufacturing personnel. This is not surprising given the almost total grounding of aviation in March and April 2020. We also looked at the motivation of learners in the MOOC. Again, there we see a shift in motivation to take part in the MOOC towards prospective study, away from prospective employment. We suspect this is in part due to the increase in the number of students in the 2020 run. What we also saw was that a lower percentage of learners completed the course. However, when asked about whether they had any problems in allocating sufficient time for the course, this number was also significantly down for the 2020 run. This may be indicative of a more intrinsic motivation, away from gaining a grade or certificate, but more towards actually being interested in gaining more knowledge. This suspicion is further strengthened if we look at the engagement of the learners with the course. More learners watched videos, attempted to solve a problem, and posted to the discussion forum for the 2020 run. Learners also expressed a greater need and value for these types of activities in the 2020 run. It was therefore not a surprise to see that the average number of reported hours spent per week in the post-course survey had also increased for this run. In conclusion, we saw a large increase in aviation and aerospace professionals in the 2020 course, even though the overall number of working people in the course decreased. We can also report that learners in the 2020 COVID run of our course were indeed more engaged, more interested, and likely more intrinsically motivated. The pandemic perhaps gave our learners a little bit more time to truly engage with the course material away from chasing grades and qualifications.